tell you, I don't think it's me you gotta look at. You gotta look at the third floor. I care deeply about the elderly in this state. I care deeply about the 3,100 people that qualify for Medicaid, but the legislature won't give us the money. I care deeply about the JMG program. I think it's one of the bright lights of our education system, but they cut that. So I don't know. I don't know what I could have done differently. I honestly believe that the budget that was put up in January was a good budget. It was a budget where we need to start looking at a state that has been 50th as a place to do business. And whether or not we like business is irrelevant, because economy is moved by the strength of its business and by the strength of its economy. And so, to me, the message is, let's not waste any time. Let's not work any more 18-hour days trying to attract business. They don't want it. I mean, we're going to continue doing our job, but I don't have any hopes. I think you're going to hear more like I was told earlier this summer, is what's your tax rate and what's your energy cost? And I hear that all the time. So I don't have much hope.
Governor, what are your priorities going forward into next year?
I don't know. Right now we're gonna continue working on domestic violence, and I don't have a priority. I mean, the Senate, the House and the Senate told me what our priorities are, and I will enforce the law as they do. But I don't have any more priorities. We put it all in the budget and get defeated.
Governor, do you have any hope of, in the coming months, working with any legislators to perhaps modify sections in the budget that
I've been trying for 2.5 years to work with Democrats, and it hasn't worked very well. I'm serious, folks. I really am appalled that the Democratic leadership has never, ever talked to me about this budget. I have asked them to come back here 2 or 3 times, and every time that they've come to talk to me, the answer's been no. I don't know what else I can do. I can continue working it, but until the Maine people send people to Augusta that are willing to work on their behalf, this is what we're going to have. And I'm very disappointed on this budget. I think the budget was a good budget. Until we start understanding what makes an economy drive and why the Southeast and the Southwest and the Atlantic states have such good economies, until we emulate some of their behaviors, we're not going to be anywhere 50th place in the country for doing business. And we are going to have elderly people who struggle from month to month from their Social Security. I mean, do you realize people say it's only a little tax increase? It's 10% tax increase, folks. It's 10% on fixed income. Pretty rough. 14% on meals and lodging. I'm not so concerned about the lodging, although I think it's just because we have a reasonably good tourism industry doesn't mean we have to destroy it. But I'll tell you, the food tax is a bad one, because 60% of people that frequent restaurants in the state of Maine are Mainers, not out-of-staters. So that tax, the food and beverage tax, is clearly on the Mainers, on Maine people.
Governor, I understand the obstacles you faced in trying to bring Democrats to the table, but what was the tone of the discussions you had with some of these key Republicans? Was there a common theme that they had?
And frankly, I said the Democrats didn't talk very much. Neither did Republicans. I mean, a few of them did. I will say this: Mike Thibodeau has been a very, very strong leader. He's been trying to move the state forward. He understands business. Other than that, in the House, there was a few that have hung with us and are real strong. They understand what needs to happen in Maine. But overall, there's not been much discussion. I was told by the Republican on Appropriations, they had made me a promise on the evening that they had their all-night session, and I woke up in the morning and they wrote it. So it didn't last long, maybe 2 hours.
House Leader Fredette made the comment this morning that neither you nor anyone from your administration ever approached him about the continuing resolution proposal.
Well, he hasn't been around for a while. We've been talking about it for a week now, and frankly, he hasn't been around. And I don't know. If he was here, we would have talked about it. I spoke to some folks up there, and I know my staff has, so you got to be here. You know, I'm here. If you're not here, I don't know what I can do.
Representative Fredette mentioned from the floor today this idea that Republicans had to stop this idea of a circular firing squad. I guess it's some sort of analogy for infighting and that sort of thing. Is that, I don't know what's your reaction to that. I don't know if you've heard
I have no comment. I mean, I don't know what he did or said, but he's entitled to his opinion. I will say this, the Republican Party is not a very strong party.
Next session, Governor, at the end of the tail end of this session, you talked a little bit about trying to negotiate a deal on right to work for Medicaid expansion. Is that something that would be on your list for 2014?
No.
You're done now?
What about the energy bill? There's a second part of the override vote in the Senate tonight. Have you made any
I
inroads
thought
on
it was only
that?
one override. They overrode I don't know.
Well, the Senate has to take up the takes it up to
Does the House overrode it? Okay.
I don't know if you've been able to make any inroads there.
No. It's been Representative Fredette, and he's been unwilling to talk to me about it.
Governor, does this override, I know you made a comment last week, which may have been serious, may not, about running for Congress.
No, I'm not running.
Okay. Does this vote impact your desire whether or not to seek another term as governor?
It's certainly going to be part of I am going to be meeting with my family at some point, and we're going to talk it over. This certainly has a play. This is a pretty serious setback in the state of Maine. I think this is quite frankly, I don't know how you recover from this. I really don't know how you recover from a tax increase when you are one of the worst states to do business in. I've done a lot of workouts. I've done a lot of turnarounds. I've done it in Waterville. I've done it with numbers of businesses. But this is an obstacle that is that's like having a massive hole in the bottom of your ship and you're trying to get across the pond.
Governor, what is your response to the argument made by several Republicans too that the elderly would have been impacted more by a property tax increase that would have come under your budget?
Well, first of all, I disagree. Having been a mayor, I disagree that anything that's done in Augusta is going to create tax increases. I ran a city for 8 years, 3 elections, never had to increase taxes, and state and federal government cut back every year. It's all a matter of priorities. The communities have choices. They can work together, they can increase taxes, or they can lower spending. I can't make that decision for them. I think it's a cop-out, frankly. I think whoever said that, whether Democrat or Republican, I think it's a cop-out.
Governor, throughout the session we heard that eliminating revenue sharing would result in an increase in property taxes. Also in your budget was a proposed reduction in the homestead exemption to the circuit breaker, which some argued were direct tax increases. Did you see it on the plan?
Well, this is the way I look at revenue sharing and all that whole issue. We are a right to work, we are a local control state. If we want local control, why are we asking the state government to pay for it? If we're local control, why are we asking the state to pay for it? If you want to be local control, you want to be in charge of your own destiny, you shouldn't ask the state, big brother, to pay for it. Either pay it for yourself or then work with your neighbors. I'll give you an example here. City of Lewiston, 36,000 people. one town manager, one police chief, one fire chief, one superintendent, one tax assessor, one public works director. Okay? 36,000 people. Let's go to Waterville. Waterville, Winslow, Oakland, Fairfield, 4 towns that abut each other. Population roughly 37,000 people. In that range, comparable to this. 4 town managers, 4 superintendents, 4 public works directors. 4. Lewiston does it with 6 people. Those 4 communities take 24 people. That's what I'm talking about. That's simply all I'm talking about. Let's work together. Why is the Southeast so successful? They do more things at the county level. Roads are done at county level. Policing is done at county level. Fire is done at county level. That's all I'm suggesting. That's all I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that we ought to take a look at ourselves if we really want to be prosperous. We want Mainers to be prosperous. We want to attract good business to Maine. We ought to try to work together. The fact that a Democrat say we never talked to them about this budget, we gave it to them in January. Never one time, not one time, did they come to me and talk to me. I attempted to go up to talk to the appropriations people, and I was not allowed to speak on mic. I was shut down. More disappointing about being shut down that day was not one Republican said a word. So that told me that the legislature is clearly a different form of government, a different branch of government, and it's more of a country club and get along than to get along with the executive branch.
Governor, you mentioned this idea that you guys came up with, the continuing resolution, that would have essentially bought more time to broker maybe a different compromise. What would that compromise have looked like? I mean, what was the administration ready to give up?
Well, first of all, I think there's about $200 million in the Department of Health and Human Services that is being abused. There's money that is duplicated, abused, bad public policy. I think there's wasteful money being spent there. I think in education, for instance, they took money away from students, but I did not see them take 1 penny away from the administration of our schools. The state of Maine has 185,000 students in K through 12, and we spend 4.5% of our budget on administration. The rest of the country spends 2% on administration. We are just absolutely top-heavy in the areas of superintendents, assistant superintendents, deputy superintendents, principals, assistant principals, deputy principals, and that's where our problem is. We have the smallest class sizes in the country, and we do the worst use of virtual and technology in our schools. We were the first to bring in iPads and laptops. We haven't moved from there. I mean, there was a big controversy when we decided that let's use Microsoft because 95% of the businesses in the world use Microsoft. Maybe our kids ought to know about it. That's all. It's just moving away from status quo, looking for other ways. You asked me what was we ready to give up? Anything they asked for. Let's sit down and talk about it. It's hard when you make a budget. We spent 6 months creating a budget. They sat on it for 5.5 months and never discussed it with us. And they went on their own. I don't know what you do about that. I'm not going to twist their arms. I'm not going to, they're big people, they're grown-up people. They should make their own decisions of what they want and don't want.
Governor, what would you tell the people of the state of Maine right now if they want to support what you're doing?
It's a very sad day for the state of Maine. It's a real sad day for the state of Maine. I thought in the 125th legislature, I thought we took 2 steps forward. Today, I think we took 3 steps backwards. I really feel bad for today. Thank you.
Thank you.